Hello folks, today I'm going to talk about a very powerful exercise specifically designed to identify where your anxiety is coming from and also deal with it in social situations. Now, my personal experience with this, it's very powerful because I always had anxiety in social situations since I was a teenager. I was not even able to have eye contact with the person that I was talking to, and this affected me really bad. So I'm going to talk to you about the empty chair technique today, but before this I'm going to say some words about how did I come to apply this specific technique. Now, I was in Berlin, I don't remember, many years ago, I don't remember the exact year, and in one situation I was in a bar with a friend, and this friend was pointing to a guy at the bar and he said, "Look at that guy, he's so interesting." And I was looking, yeah, maybe this guy was capturing attention from all over the bar, and I asked myself, why do you think he's so interesting? And he said, "Look at how many facial expressions he's doing in a short amount of time." And I was looking, I said, wow, this guy was like constantly shifting his facial expressions, but in the same time he was also talking to the bartender, talking to another guy coming in, talking to the guy next to him. So he was kind of all over the place, but in the same time he was capturing all the attention because of the many moves that he was doing, let's say per minute or per second. So I was looking at this guy and I was imagining, well, this guy must be completely free and without hindrances. Basically he was all over the place, everybody was accepting this, and he was capturing attention, so he didn't have really any filters. Maybe he was just an extreme example, but what I decided to do is I need to be more expressive, I need to get rid of my anxiety, and I need to be more free and boundaryless in social situation, mimicking that guy. And why do I say this? Because I was very methodical in how I can become more anxiety free, how I can become more social. I basically decomposed each and every element. For example, with this guy, looking at him, I was looking at his facial expressions, what he was doing, I was looking at his body movements, general energy, and I was thinking, how can I copy this thing, And then I went to science. I went and I studied all kind of methods from meditation. I looked at psychologists, what they were doing. I look at how can I, let's say, apply this on myself. And today we will talk about the empty chair technique. The empty chair technique comes from a master psychologist, psychiatrist, and psychoanalyst called Fritz Perls. Fritz Perls was born in Berlin in 1893, and he moved all over the place. In the end, he ended up in America, and he was mostly famous for being the resident psychologist in Esalen Institute. Esalen Institute opened in 1962. It was opened in 1962 by Dick Price and Michael Murphy, and it was the first personal development center in America, which attracted all kind of psychologists. So not only Fritz Perls, Abraham Maslow, Stanislav Grof, but they also attracted a number of personalities of those times, like the Beatles. For example, Jane Fonda, the actress that still lives today, she was the girlfriend of Dick Price. What I want to continue and mention here is that Fritz Perls was the top psychologist in the Esalen Institute, and he was famous for his pushy personality. He was famous for pushing the buttons of the not patient, but let's say the customer, the client, as he was calling, because he was naming the encounter a workshop. He didn't want to have like sick people or patients, so he was pushing the buttons of everybody, and it not only the clients but also in the Esalen Institute, because he wanted to get a real reaction, an emotional reaction. He thought that when you are in the present moment, when you are in Gestalt, and Gestalt is all about being in the present moment, having your thoughts, emotions, and the body aligned in the present moment. He thought that by doing this, he was getting a real, let's say, real reaction from the client. So his style was very pushy. You can see some videos on YouTube about this, and figure out his way of interaction. But Fritz Perls was very pushy, and he liked to dominate the settings. And I'm going to talk to you about an incident that happened in the Esalen Institute, where Fritz Perls literally humiliated the guru of the Beatles, Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. So just to figure out what kind of person he was and how he came out with this empty chair technique and generally Gestalt therapy. So at about 1964, because he was a resident psychologist there from 1964 to 1969, the Beatles flew in the Esalen Institute. As I said, it was a very famous institute, and they flew in with Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. Everybody gathered around, they casted petals around him, and he was sitting on a big rock, and people were around him in the audience, and he was giving a discourse. Now, Fritz Perls was also present, and the way to control the situation and to put himself in a, let's say, star position was to attack the so-called star of the evening, Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. So he started to slowly approach Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, looking at the public, looking at Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, until he got really close to him. And by putting the pressure on Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, in the same time looking at the public was putting extra pressure on him. Now remember the petal flowers that I mentioned before? Well, they come to have a crucial role in what was happening next, because Maharishi Mahesh Yogi started to crumble and flimps around with the petals of flowers, and in the same time the discourse was about non-violence. And what happened is that Fritz Perls noticed this, and he threw in a line that took complete control of the situation. He said, "Look at this fool. He's talking about non-violence, but in the same time he's crushing these petals of flowers in his hands." And everybody was bursting in laughing. Maharishi Mahesh Yogi completely lost control of the situation. He continued after the discourse, but everybody knew who was the boss in Esalen, and this was Fritz Perls. Now guys, the empty chair exercise. The empty chair exercise involves two chairs. One which is in front of you, and the other one in which you stay on. And you have to alternatively sit in both chairs. Now this exercise is about feeling the problem and talking with your problem, because in this situation we don't have Fritz Perls around. We cannot take the knowledge from a master psychologist, but we need to really take control of our, let's say, healing process. So you have two chairs, one in which you stay and another one in which is empty. And let's take a feeling that of anxiety in which you feel normally in social situation. Now we will deal with this. So you will discuss with this aspect of yourself which is present in the empty chair. So now you can, and I will just give an example, you can take any other problem that you have. Now you can ask anxiety sitting there, this aspect of yourself, "I feel very anxious when I'm in social situations. Why do you make me feel like this? Why am I so blocked in these situations?" You put this question to this aspect of yourself. Now you change chairs. Now you will be in the other chair, and you will put yourself in the situation of anxiety. So let's say anxiety in this example will respond, "I'm here to protect you. I'm here to let yourself not be humiliated by the other people around you. By feeling this feeling, I will not let you express yourself, and I will devoid you of the state of humiliation. I will not let you feel this humiliation. You will just be there, but you will not be embarrassed." Now you can change to the other side, and you can say, for example, "Yes, but I understand what you're saying, but I want to be more expressive. I want to discuss with these people. How can I do this?" And then you put yourself in the anxiety state, and you can respond to yourself, "Well, I can allow you to sometimes express yourself, but think about it. You can be humiliated. How would you feel if you will be humiliated? Would you like to feel that feeling? Would you like to lose your friends? So you go back and forth with this aspect of yourself. You try to even go in some situations, specific situations in which you felt anxiety, and go in this dialogue. And what will happen here? What will happen is that your anxiety maybe will grow more and more, especially by putting yourself in a specific situation. And another aspect will happen, and I recommend you to film this session, film this encounter. You will see basically anxiety in front of you. You will start to feel this. You will start to distance yourself, and in the same time be very sensitive. So here is not a dichotomy. One important master of the 20th century, Bhagwan Sri Rajneesh or Osho, was saying that the observer, or observing specifically something, is the most present, the most active in life. The observer itself is not distant from the thing that is observing. For example, in this situation, anxiety can be the most present, but by observing something, you are the most present. You become awareness, and this is the zero state. This channel is about reaching the zero state, but we're taking it from the context of a psychological exercise developed by Fritz Perls, and it's a very, very powerful exercise. By distancing yourself from the feeling of anxiety and in the same time reliving anxiety, feeling it, you are becoming a master of your inner feelings. You will be able to overcome it. You'll be able to just be in the present moment, and whatever arises, whatever the feeling arises, you will not let yourself identify with it. You will just be focused in the present. And it doesn't mean that the anxiety will not appear sometimes, but slowly, by this process of complete presence, observance, these states of negative states will slowly disappear. And from this, you will go into positive, and from this, you will go into awareness, because awareness is beyond the opposites, the negative states and the positive states. And this is an ultimate state of being. This is being in the Gestalt, which Fritz Perls was naming, being totally in the present moment with your thoughts, emotions, and the body, the movements completely aligned in the present moment. Now guys, you can play around with this exercise, and note, if you have, write it down. Be sure that you have to tape this or record these sessions, because it's also very important to remember and to observe yourself in these situations. And if this exercise is not for you, just follow me in the next part, in the next exercise that I'm going to do. But for this time is bye bye for now, and see you in the next video.